Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my distinct honor today to introduce a man who has breathed new energy into our efforts to accelerate cancer research, enhance cancer prevention, and ensure delivery of the highest quality cancer care, Vice President Biden. In January, President Obama announced the Cancer Moonshot Initiative and asked the Vice President to lead it. This initiative has renewed the nation's commitment to ending the pain and suffering caused by cancer and transform the nation's dialogue about how to achieve this goal. We are here at this meeting with the goal of advancing collective wisdom, sharing knowledge, and gaining insights from each other, all with the ultimate goal of improving the lives of patients with cancer. The Vice President's Moonshot Initiative has been focusing on this same theme, breaking down the barriers, sharing information, and promoting critical research to ensure we glean every insight possible about cancer care. Vice President Biden has been a steadfast supporter of cancer research since his days in the Senate, and we greatly appreciate his efforts to infuse additional support for cancer prevention and vaccine development, early detection, cancer immunotherapy and combination therapy development, genomic tumor analysis, and pediatric cancers. We also are thankful for his determination to break down data sharing barriers and his support of tools to expand knowledge about cancer care, such as ASCO's Cancer Link. Mr. Vice President, we are so grateful for your commitment, your energy, and your leadership. We stand ready to help you in whatever way we can. Thank you for being with us today, and we look forward to continuing our work with you and your wonderful staff to accelerate an end to cancer as we know it. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Voss, thank you very much for the introduction. It's great to be here. If I didn't know any better, this is about the size of a convention floor. I walked in, none of you would understand that, but it's good to see you all here. I didn't realize how many we were here. Quite a gathering, and I should say at the outset, you're the folks who, many of you, are the ones who are interfacing every day with the family, with the patient, trying to figure out how you can give hope without giving false hope, how you can bring help where it's available, and wondering why we can't move faster. I know we're all doctors. I was going to speak only for 10 minutes, but I have no nurse to refer you to, so I'll have to take a little water. Now that was funny, guys. You all really a tight bunch, I tell you. Come on, man. I've never been in a doctor's office or in the hospital. I spent a lot of time in the hospital where the doctor didn't speak 10 minutes and they say, now my nurse will explain. But all kidding aside, I'm going to take a few minutes because you're an incredibly important group of not being solicitous. I say that, and a few things I want to say, and I want to ask you to consider thinking. Every year, thousands of oncologists and millions of patients all over the world await the news coming from this meeting. New breakthroughs, new therapies, new promises of cure. Hope. Hope. I know of no cadre of people in the world who are desperately in need of hope. And over 16 million people with cancer. This year, your theme is harnessing collective wisdom of oncologists around the world with patients at the center of research and care. That's exactly what I'm trying to do in the Cancer Moonshot, and it matters. I might note parenthetically, if I allegedly have any expertise in the area of foreign policy and constitutional law. And I want you to know what you already do know, but I see it every day. As I travel the world, and I've now traveled over 1,200,000 miles as Vice President of the President. I was recently in the Middle East, in Abu Dhabi, in Jordan, in Israel, and other parts, talking about ISIS. But with every leader I met with in every one of the countries, without exaggeration, the first thing they said to me, Mr. President, before we begin, can I talk to you about your moonshot? I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Can I talk to you about your moonshot? We recently had 50 world leaders, heads of state, White House, for the nuclear summit. And before the president began, all the tables were arrayed around the East Room, he in front of the fireplace, and me the opposite side by the hallway. You see where the press conference was held. He said, I know a lot of you want to speak to Joe about cancer, but we can do that afterwards. There are 5 countries from Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, with whom we are now attempting to work out memorandum of understanding how we can better coordinate. This is an issue that I came to quite accidentally. I'm pretty good at what I do, I think, and there's never been a major undertaking I've been assigned where I haven't known at least as much or more than the people advising me, except here. Except here. And that's why I need you. I need you and your colleagues, and that's why I've been traveling the nation, trying to learn as much as I can as quickly as possible. The cancer medical community has a difficult and, from my perspective, a unique role in medicine. More than any other specialties, oncologists have to explore the unknown with their patients. In a literal sense, explore the unknown. Because you don't know some of the answers that are being sought by your patients. There are more than 200 different types of cancer. There aren't 200 different kinds of diabetes or heart disease. And the unknown is frightening. I know from experience, like many of you do. Like every family who faces cancer, my family and I did everything in our power to learn everything we could about the cancer my son was fighting. We relied on the best doctors in the world to explain the unknown to us, and they were the best doctors in the world. We saw how our doctors, and every one of you, are constantly learning from direct experience what will work and what won't work, from day to day, all in the hopes of not just treating cancer, but changing it. And I saw that no single oncologist or cancer researcher can find the answer on his or her own. And the good news is that today, oncologists and cancer researchers realize they can't do it alone either. We've reached an inflection point, in my view, in the fight against cancer, where you are combining diverse disciplines, unlike you did even 10 years ago. Virology, immunology, protonics, genomics, and all offering profound promise that wasn't there, I would argue, even 5 years ago. What's required today extends beyond any individual or any individual discipline, beyond medicine itself. We have to use every weapon at our disposal if we're going to meet our goal to help patients even more than you're already helping them today. And to be honest with you, it requires somewhat of a change in mindset. It requires a lot more openness, open data,
open collaboration, and above all, open minds. Few of the ideas you're engaged in exploring today to improve the cancer enterprise are entirely new. For example, it wasn't too long ago, immunotherapy was somewhere out in the hinterlands. In the early 1900s, a bone surgeon in New York named Coley, following pioneers like Koch and Pasteur and von Behring, developed a theory that post-surgical infections helped patients recover better from cancer by provoking the immune system. He began by injecting streptococcus and then dead bacteria into patients. When he did, they argued they survived cancer longer. Coley's toxins provided a foundation for what would become immunotherapy. But for the longest time, with good reason, there was the trilogy. Find the tumor, excise it, use it as targeted radiation as you can, and as toxic as a chemotherapy you can without damaging surrounding cells. What's new today is you're now using all of the tools at your disposal. Our technology and understanding today dwarfs what existed even a decade ago. New biological capabilities enable us to specifically stimulate a patient's body to fight a particular type of cancer. Faster, cheaper, more accurate genomic sequencers, I should say. Enhanced imaging technology that allows a doctor to see the specific location and impact of the cancer without entering the operating room. Data infrastructure networks capable of sharing privacy-protected clinical data in real time. Advanced computational capabilities, including supercomputers that can do 1,000 billion calculations per second. That if we aggregate enough data, we'll be able to help us interpret data and find new patterns of treatment success. And so many other areas. Which takes me back to the theme of your conference, harnessing the collective wisdom of all the disciplines to improve the lives of your patients. When I announced the decision not to seek the nomination for president in the Rose Garden for president, I said, and it was almost a lament, it had not planned in my statement. I said, if I could have done anything, I would have wanted to be the president that ended cancer as we know it, because I believe it is now possible. Cancer moonshot grew out of that statement, and in the State of the Union, the President announced that I would lead the effort, giving me absolute authority over every government agency that engages in it, every cabinet agency that has any impact in the fight against cancer. Our effort is guided by a few key missions: realigning the incentives of the research system to promote breakthrough progress in preventing and treating cancer, creating a new paradigm for generating, sharing, integrating data and to enhance patient care, accelerating, bringing new strategies, diagnoses, therapies to patients and communities across the world, and identifying any unnecessary regulatory barriers that exist at the federal level, and they exist, to stand in the way of allowing you to improve cancer care. With those missions in mind, I've traveled the country and the world, touching many, if not all, the major nerve centers in the fight against cancer. I met with coalitions of cancer organizations that are attempting to aggregate cancer tissue genomics, patient medical records, family histories and lifestyles, all in order to use supercomputing power we have today to find answers that we don't have right now would take the human eye a long, to make it easier to share research and medical data, to find new ways to share the lessons that data can yield. And later this month, I'll be hosting the first Cancer Moonshot Summit will not only be held in Washington, but simultaneously in over 75 locations currently committed around the country, with more signing up every day simultaneously. I'd urge you, go register to host your own. Join us in that moonshot. We need you. It's your opportunity to get involved, to have the conversation, be what you want it to be. Because I'm committed to bringing together all the human, financial, and knowledge resources we have in the world to try to seize this moment. Everywhere I go, we talk about what is possible. There's an emerging consensus, first, that immunotherapy is poised to affect more patients, more cancers, and become increasingly critical part of the anti-cancer strategy. But the question is, what's next? Secondly, there are many variables that go into what triggers a cancer. Finding them all and determining how to counter them with therapies is only possible by examining large data sets for similarities in a large number of patients. With the computing power we now possess, which, as I said, is 1,000 billion computations per second. The first person to come to me, the President announced that I would head this up, is the head of the Department of Energy, Ernie Moniz, a brilliant MIT scientist, laid out what the national labs had, the capabilities they had, and how they're prepared to bring it all to bear in this fight. There are a number of you working to aggregate that data. Orion, Project Genie, Book Coalition, including CancerLink. You're not going to like this, but imagine if you all worked together. I'm not joking. Imagine if you all worked together. I've had a chance to speak with the head of each one of these organizations. You're spending hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine. It was coordinated. Third, there's a growing recognition, and all of you know this, of the need for more team science. Oncologists working with virologists, immunologists, chemical engineers, data science, technicians, surgeons, imaging and radiology specialists, and most importantly, patients. The question for you is how to break down the barriers that hinder collaboration. You don't intend to not collaborate. You don't intend to create barriers. But there are institutional barriers. We need teams of scientists, but also teams of organizations. I urge you to keep working closely with other organizations and leading patient foundations to translate scientific discovery into meaningful treatments for your patients. And fourthly, as personalized medicine and combination therapies become the norm for cancer treatment, and you know they're relatively new, we need new approaches to clinical trials. That was one of the epiphanies I had when I started out around the field. I've spoken now to over 300 oncologists personally, 5 Nobel laureates. I've met with almost every major cancer institution in the country for 3- and 4-hour roundtables with their leadership. One thing that was completely new to me was how damn difficult it was to get into a trial or find out where one was being conducted. Or if you're conducting one, find patients who can, in fact, qualify. I didn't have that problem. I had a son in a great cancer hospital who was in pretty tough shape. And at the end of the day, it became a clinical trial of one. What about the 96% of the people out there with cancer who would benefit? There's got to be a better way. The answer's got to come from you guys. I can't legislate it for you, but you know it's true. I need your help. We can do much better than we're doing. need to share not only clinical data, but all of the data that will drive progress in the fight against cancer. Before I came here today, I spent a couple hours over at the University of Chicago for the public launch of the National Cancer Institute's Genomic Data Commons, a platform built by the University of Chicago, paid for by the NCI, at the NCI's request. Acting Director Doug Lowy said, of the National Cancer Institute, said it best when he said, "What I see as transformative is, this is where the world is going. And the Genomic Data Commons is just a part of it." He went on to say, one of the initial goals is to bring all the data into one place, analyze it, and display it in a uniform way. This is a significant step forward because of new DNA sequencing technology. We've been able to rapidly generate vast troves of cancer data, genomic data. But the information is scattered among different government and academic repositories. Most of it is out of the reach of scientists. We're bringing it into one place. Your enterprise is much larger, it's 400,000. Or excuse me, 40,000. Initially, the Genomic Data Commons will have 2 petabytes of data. That's 2 million gigabytes from NCI-supported research, clinical trials, the Cancer Genome Atlas, as well as Target, which is the pediatric database, the largest amount of raw cancer genomic data ever stored in one location, public access. It's our hope that Genomic Data Commons will prove pivotal in advancing precision medicine, where physicians attempt to tailor therapies to specific characteristics of a particular patient's cancer. Our aim, the aim of Genomic Data Commons, is for researchers to have information at their fingertips about the relationship between abnormalities or mutations of genes and clinical outcomes. This database will be accessible through the NCI portal. It will be interactive and searchable and available to everyone. Scientists will be able to reanalyze the raw data according to their interest, what they are looking for. Those most likely to use the Genomic Data Commons are researchers, I acknowledge that, and research clinicians. That's only at the beginning. One important point I want to emphasize is all information from clinical trials funded by NCI from this point on will have to be submitted to the database. The leaders of our nation's major cancer centers are, as I speak, working on the model consent form that will enable them to supplement this data in huge quantities. Each year, the Genomic Data Commons will add another petabyte or more to storage to accommodate new data, including soon-to-come genomic databases from NCI-sponsored clinical trials. Researchers will be able to go to one place and look at the raw genomic sequencing that has already been done for more than 20 different cancers and associated clinical data, diagnosis, treatment history, survival data, and other information. But this is only the beginning because more raw genomic sequencing of different cancers is underway and will be included. And after that data is aggregated and analyzed, we'll be able to share the lessons of data yield to others so others can build on the work that comes out of this Genomic Data Commons. This is good news for the fight against cancer. The launch of this new national resource, anyone can freely access raw genomic and clinical data at the outset for 12,000 patients, with more records to follow. Hastening the pool of research and researchers who can access data and decreasing the time it takes for them to review and find new patients in that data, new patterns in that data, is critical to speeding up the development of life-saving treatments for patients. I I know there's concern about data security and authorized access, and I want to assure you, Genomic Data Commons has built important safeguards to protect patient privacy, enable and secure data downloading, and provide for your no liability. We're making this enormous database available, and we expect people who benefit from it to share back. We need oncologists and researchers around the world to upload your raw genomic data. It will not only drive research progress faster, but it will eventually help individual doctors determine the most effective drug or course of treatment for their particular patients, particularly those not associated with the large research universities. And all of you know it's the right thing to do. It's the quickest way for us to move forward. And it's not technically hard to do it. Let me give you an example. Here in Chicago in 1960, University of Chicago, the Center for Research in Security Prices, it's a stock exchange, created a database of every stock and bond transaction going back to 1926. That database has been used by countless thousands of researchers and professionals to develop and test their theories on how the market works. We can easily do the same thing for medicine. As one top cancer researcher told me, we have to allow the data to actually yield the answers by being willing to see the whole picture, not just what we expect to see. That can be fully within our power. To succeed with the moonshot, I desperately need your help. I'd like to issue a challenge to you. First, expand CancerLink so that it can meaningfully and seamlessly connect with other project networks like Project Genie, Orion, Quill, and GDC, in pursuit of the national and international flow of patient data. Second, help us create a system that rewards team science and makes it the norm, not the exception, that promotes greater sharing of data and that shares resources and disseminates breakthroughs more rapidly. As all of you know, the current system is still based on the cult of the individual, and it fails to reward teamwork adequately. And the way in which we award publication credit, tenure credit, patient ownership, that can all be improved to support team approaches. But you have to come in. Third, help us create a new system that adequately supports every patient who qualifies for and wants to get into a clinical trial to be able to do just that. No one should have to forego a critical clinical trial because they can't afford the gas to get there or a babysitter at home. Over the years, there's been a movement away from government-sponsored trials to industry-sponsored trials. Industry-sponsored trials are very important, they're vital, but they do not answer all the essential questions, like comparing drugs from different companies, focusing on bringing improved treatments for rare diseases, or testing the efficacy of approaches that do not have a commercial value. We need to maintain a broad spectrum of trials that answer essential questions, not all of which will have immediate commercial value. We need you to help us get there. Our ability to penetrate the mysteries of cancer depends on our willingness, and especially your willingness, to see beyond the usual and the expected. The annals of ASCO are filled with revelations that surprise and upended the expected course of treating cancer. And collectively, you solved countless lives, you saved countless lives. As a great leader, Benjamin Disraeli, once said, "Diligence is the mother of good fortune." I commend your diligence and urge you in your endeavors so that new revelations continue to emerge. The good fortune of America is closely tied to the good fortune of all humanity, Marcus de Lafayette said at the time of the Revolution. It's true today. The whole world is looking to you. The whole world is looking to you. Your success can literally change the world. We need you now more than we ever have.
The expectation is if there's no real change in the next 6 years, 25 million cancer. You're the most dedicated, decent, hard-working people, and the greatest minds we have in this country. My plea to you is help us help you figure out, in addition to trying to get billions of dollars more committed in this fight for the federal government, which I think we can do, help us help you to aggregate more information available to me. Do you realize if you got an advanced grant from DARPA to work on a space program, that even if it had potential military application, your research is immediately, instantaneously made available to the whole world? How can that be? Can that not be the case? And a scourge facing humanity. Not easy answers. No one knows the problem or the potential solutions better than all of us. Not only need your continued scholarship, incredible capacity, we need some ideas to speed this process. And God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.